Alrighty, so we are back. So we're going to go through the freshman. For this one, this is going to pertain to the whatchamacallit, to the How to Sculpt a Collectible series that we're doing. So I'm going to put this in there, and what we're going to be doing is just going over heads again. Okay, so first one is Aliana. Okay, so let's see. Thor one, Aliana. Okay, so first impression is it's not that bad, especially with no experience in Zbrush. So for those watching, these are the freshmen who have had 0 to I would say 90% of the class. We have like 15 students, and 14 of them have little to no idea of what ZBrush is. So we are in our second week of just fiddling around with ZBrush and face and skull lectures, and you can see, like, I'm very proud of what these students are able to accomplish in just 2 weeks. Okay, so here we go. Aliana, what we need to do is we need to have stronger indication of the infraorbital furrow. Take that in, smooth that out, okay? Because it's going to feed into the canthal tendon, so we don't want it coming all the way out here, okay? We want it being right there where the eye is going to meet up, okay? And then we can finesse it, smooth it, finesse it until it looks good, okay? Next, we can mark in the zygomatic, bring it up about halfway of the orbital socket, and then bring it back. Bottom margin right there. Okay. So if we're gonna see, is this who are you doing? Are you doing well? Since you didn't put lady or well, I don't know. They're doing female and male Thor, so I'm just gonna go with male unless you wrote it differently. Okay, and I'm gonna get rid of these lips because we haven't gone over that yet. And then the widest part of the skull is pretty good. The widest part of the zygomatic, it's just going out and it needs to be coming back in towards the ear. Right, so let me get a better angle. Right, it was just going out that way and it needs to be coming back into the skull. Okay. And we need to have a bit wider of a chin for a man. We can also pull this down a bit more and add a bit more square-like structure here. Okay. But I still have the angle of the jaw and all that, right? Still have it all there. Okay, and this knock, we need a little bit longer for the glabella, just a little bit longer. Okay, and we haven't gone over noses, so I'm not gonna do that. Okay, but now we've got everything knocked in, so now we can build this up, and get that temporal bone right there, and we need a forlorn look on this skull-like base. Okay, and again, whenever we went over the lectures, we saw how there's a solid lid going all the way around it. I'm using my damn standard and holding Alt so I can get that sharp line. So that's BDS. Okay, and then digging this in, and then now we have enough room for the orbital furrow and for the superior margin of the orbit to feed into there. Okay, and there we go. Okay, and then we need to have a 15 to 18 degree tilt here. But regardless, we need to have the front canthal or the medial canthal tendon leading the back one. Okay. That there. Okay. And then if it's a male, we need to knock this in and influence that. If not, then it was fine for a female. And right there. Okay. And then we just indicate the master a little bit. And we're good. And that's roughly where I want everyone to be. Okay. And let's go to the next one. Okay, Alejandro Abarca, Lady Female Thor. Thank you for saying so, Alejandro. Okay, so let's talk about skull structure. Okay, first thing we need to do is we need to get the cranium together. So it's a little bit too big. Okay, and we need to have look up top, and we have a lot of wobbling going on. Right, so we don't want that, and you're also pretty high on the Dynamesh. You don't need to be that high right now until you're starting to put in details. Okay, so right now we're still just working on the cranium. So we need to finesse this cranium a bit more. It's a little wobbly. And our malar eminence is not there. And then we have a very misshapen forehead going on. Okay, so let's fix all this. All right, we also need to put the jawline, needs to be in front of the ear. Okay, and the malar eminence is going to be right behind the ear. Okay, and we're going to smooth that out because we haven't talked about lips. All right, but what we need to do is, you can see how wide the head is, so we need to bring that in. Okay, somewhere around there. We need to move this to where this is the widest part. Smooth all that out. Bring that in. And put those ears in a little bit. Okay, so next thing we need to do is we need to knock in the zygomatic. So we need to go up about halfway where the eye is going to be, and then bring that around. Okay, and so now we know from here to there we can just put a straight line. All right, because we gotta have that temple bone, and then we know it comes forward, and we can just approximate it for right now. Okay, forlorn look for the skull, and I'm just gonna bring this over the eye. Dynamesh. There we go. Dig that in. Alrighty. And we need to knock in the glabella. Okay. Right there. Need to have some indication of the nasal aperture. All right. Okay, so before we get into all that. All right, next thing we need to do is get the infraorbital, and we know it's pretty much like that, right? Going into the infraorbital furrow. We know right here is roughly going to be where the zygomatic is going to turn and give us this front plane. Smooth that in. Smooth, 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 smooth. And we know the widest part of the zygomatic is going to be where the temporal muscle is going to feed into, but we also need to bring it back into the skull. So we can't just have it go out. We need it to kind of feed into the rest of the skull. Okay, dig that in. And so we've got that planned out. And the next thing we need to do is the brow and the chin should roughly line up. Should be kind of on the same page almost. Okay, And then here we just need to smooth this out because this is a very masculine neck, right? And the reason being is because it's just so thick and the cranium's so large that it's giving us that impression. Okay. And then we can just put the neck in here, and we need to have like a very feminine neck, right? The mastoid process on a female skull is a whole lot smaller. Well, not a whole lot smaller, but it is smaller than a man's mastoid generally. Okay, so for that, what that means is that the sternocleidomastoid is not going to be that prominent as you had it. Okay, so it's going to be right there. There's a mastoid process right behind the ear. If you want to feel behind your ear, you'll feel this little knock. Okay, and then obviously she doesn't have a Adam's apple, but we need to bring this in nice and tight, especially for Natalie Portman. She's very gaunt and petite. Okay, and then just make sure we don't have this convexity or concavity going on. We need to maintain a cylindrical type shape for the neck. Okay. And next thing we need to do is we need to just get a little bit more planer right here. And just make sure that this is a nice, pleasant, smooth jawline, right? And smooth out this nose. Just, oops, just approximate it for now. Okay. And then the infraorbital furrow right here. Okay, so that's what I would do for yours, right? Just get this done, and then we'll take the next steps. But what you really need to do is just work on your cranium and make sure that your proportions are feminine, which we went over. So I definitely expect to see all these issues taken care of. Okay. So, and then we can really sell this feminine jaw with a little bit straighter of an angle. Bring that up and fix that a bit. Okay. And then your traps aren't going to begin there. You know, so most of this is going to be neck, and then her traps will come in later. So don't worry about that. Just get the neck, and it's got to be cylindrical, and it's got to be elegant and all that stuff. So elegant would be typically longer neck and all that. So let's see, and maybe not so. It does come to a point, but not so sharp. Okay, and we can bring that in just a little bit, smooth this out, add a little bit more meat here, and right there. But now that's and we can smooth this temporal arc too. So you can see that really is helping sell the femininity of the brow. Right? And just make sure that this is nice and subtle. Right? And a little bit more there. They still have females still have a forehead, but it's just very, very subtle. We need to still need to indicate that though. Okay, and we don't want to get too aggressive with the malar eminence because then it'll start looking more and more male. Okay, something like that. Okay, and even knock that back even more. And maybe not so square. And just smooth all that out. And this is actually a little bit too much for me. Move that, smooth it out. There we go. A little bit better. And let me see these eyes and get a deeper or a longer cavity out of here. It's just a little bit too short. Let's see. Yeah, the eyes need to move. And so we need to put them right around there. And a little bit too big right there, because we need enough room for fat and all that stuff. Okay. And then bring it forward there. Right. Cancel tendon, cancel tendon. Get that there. And there we go. Okay. And obviously the nose needs a lot of refinement, but whatever. Okay, we're not worried about that. But you can see very feminine base head. Okay, so what we have and what you came in with. Okay, so overall your head's too wide and it's way too big. You need to make this a more feminine skull, and you need to have a way stronger orbital socket. Okay, and make sure that the chin is lining up with the forehead, right? Especially on a feminine, it's not really going to have a lot poking out. Okay, so and then make sure that your jaw line is in front of your ear, not behind it, and make sure his neck is nice and long and thin. Okay. Alrighty. So who's next? Megan. Megan Murillo. Let's see. Alrighty. So you're sculpting backwards. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is put that in the center, put that there, bring up the hamburger menu, and turn it around 180 degrees. Okay. And then reset that, get that off there. All right. So if you ever want to know if you're painting forwards or backwards, press W, hold Alt, and click this undo or whatever it is, reset orientation. Okay. And the blue should be facing forward. And that's how you know you're sculpting forward. Okay. Alrighty, so Megan, I'm not sure what that is. Was that there? Before? Not sure why it was doing that. Let's see if we can. Why is it doing that? Oh, because it's masked. Okay. There we go. Okay, so there we go. Now we got it. Okay, so let's talk about it. So I'm taking this as a female. Which one are you doing? Yeah, I don't know if you're doing male or female or what. I'll go with male. All right. Again, the should kind of line up a bit more. So we can move this back. I really like your zygomatic. There's some things that need to be fixed, but I'm liking where it is. And this is too flat. Right? We need to have it at a tilt. Okay. But skull structure is getting there. All right. It's a little bit too flat in the back. And that there. Okay. And we can move this up and move the bottom in. And just overall make it a little bit thinner. Okay, and the ears split the head, and right behind the ears is generally gonna be the widest part of the skull. Okay, we can bring that in and just refine that a bit more. Okay. In terms of orbital socket, we just need to have it a little bit stronger here, and then turn along with malar eminence, which comes down here. A little bit more meat back there. I'm just going to smooth this out for right now. Alrighty, so down across, your nose is too high. Bring that down. I'm going to get rid of these lips because we haven't gone over it. You have too much of a happy skull. You need to bring this down, and it needs to be kind of like that. And we're going to knock in that temporalis in just a second. Alrighty, so right here, oops, right there to right there to right there to right there. Okay, and then right there. And labella, forehead, take that in. Okay, let's take a look at the size of your eyes. Yeah, that's about right. Just move it in right around there. And then I'm just going to smooth this, build over, redynamesh, just put that in there. All right, forlorn look, and we can knock that back. It's a little bit too pronounced. I'll start getting a gorilla face pretty soon if we keep doing that. All right, nice front plane of the zygomatic. Okay. And there we go. Fill. And a little bit here. Wide if it's going to be a male, with a little indentation right there at the bottom of the frontal eminence or the chin. We need the infraorbital furrow. Feeds into the bottom margin of the eye, and that needs to be feeding into the tarsal plate. That's right here. I'm just going to dig that in a bit more. And there we go. All right. A little bit stronger, so we can really start having some fun. Okay. So that's what I would do if you're sculpting a male Thor. If you're doing a female Thor, then adhere to the previous sculpt. All right, the one right before you. Alejandro's, to maintain that that feminine form. Okay, but unless you mark it down, I'm just going to sculpt it like as if it was regular Infinity War Thor. Alrighty, so there we go. All right, what we have and what you came in with. Okay. And mainly it's all around the orbit is where you really need to focus your attention and making sure that infraorbital furrow is there. And yeah, that's what I would do. Okay. Mr. Frazier. Mr. Frazier. Where are you? There we go. Oh, you sent me a ZPR. You gotta send me a Z tool, dude. You gotta send me a Z tool. I don't know how many times I said that in class. I don't know how many times I said that in class. Starting off bad already, Mr. Frazier. Oh, and it's incurred an error. This is the reason that we don't save ZPRs, because it's, all right. So, Mr. Fraser, you need to send in a Z tool, not a ZPR, and I need you to pay attention in class from now on. Anthony. She even crashed my Zbrush with that fucking file, which isn't that bad. I mean, it's not with a background like that, can't really complain. Alrighty, so Anthony. Come on, Zbrush. Alrighty, load tool. We need Anthony. Alrighty, so you are sculpting upside down. Okay, so you're gonna press W, gonna turn off symmetry, you're gonna hold Alt, gonna click this unmasked mesh center icon, then going to hold Alt and click this reset rotation. So we can see green is always up, red is always to the left, and blue is always in front of us. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is just rotate it 180 degrees by holding Shift, and you can see at the bottom that the degrees are of an amount of 5, right? So 180 degrees. There we go. Alrighty. And then put that roughly right around there. Maybe, well, yeah, that's about right. Okay, so let's just look at your face. Alrighty, and let's talk about some proportions. Okay, so your head's a little bit too long. Alrighty, it needs to have a bit more of a peak and not so square. Right, and am I off symmetry? Okay. So let's try it again. Move this forward, maybe not that much. All right. Get this, and we need to pull this forward right here. So we can get that angle, right? And we need a forehead as well, which I'm just slapping in real quick. Okay. So now, well, let's just go our usual planning, all right? So I'm just gonna go back. Okay, let's go our usual planning. First thing we need to do is get this going, okay? Next thing we need to do is decide where our ear is going to be. If it's going to be here, then right above that, we need to put in this, okay? So from here to here, we can roughly assume that we can put in a temple bone right here. Okay. And your zygomatic is coming out way too far, right? It needs to come out right about there. Okay. And then your glabella needs to be knocked in right around there. Smooth that out. Give it a little bit more space. Redynamesh. Do that. Okay. And there we go. Okay, smooth all that out. Okay. So, inferior margin of zygomatic. Right there. Okay. And then straight across from there is bottom of the nose, which you roughly have. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of these duck lips. Okay. And right there, right there. Okay, and then barrel of the mouth is not that pronounced. So we can knock that back. And remember, we got that little dip right there to really show, to really hit the masculinity. And then I haven't shown you that yet, but we will. But roughly, it's just a master that I'm outlining from the front. Put that right there, that right there. Okay, so now we have Andre the Giant brow. So then we're going to dig it in all the way around, which leaves us enough room for the forehead. We could probably even add a bit more to the top of the head. Okay. And then sell that temporal arch right here. And make sure it goes all the way around. I know some of this stuff we're not even going to see because of the hair and all that stuff, but we still need this locked down or else our hair is going to look really, really bad. It's going to be on some weird-ass fucking skull. Okay, so got that fixed, and we are good. Okay, and then this ear, I'm just going to get rid of it. Looks like Deadpool's ears regenerating. That's what that looks like. Okay, and there we go. Okay, so what we have and what you gave me. Okay, well, and what you gave me. Okay. All right, so you need to bring the zygomatic back. You need to smooth out the duck lips. You need to have the glabella. You need to have a really strong sense of the orbital socket, and make sure that the placement of your zygomatic is in the right area. Okay. D Thorpe. D Thorpe. Where are you, D Thorpe? Didn't that save yours? Oh, that's why. Okay. 2018 freshman. Thor. Folder. D Thorpe. All right, D Thorpe. So I asked you to save it as Thor01 and then your first initial and last name, and you sent it to me as Thor. Okay, so I'm going to do it for you. So you know how to do it from now on. Okay? Very important that you pay attention in class, because if you don't pay attention on the job, you're going to get fired. So pay attention. Alrighty, so this is looking really good. It's looking really good, even though you don't listen. It's looking good. Okay. But no, did I sculpt over this? This looks like my sculpting. Probably what happened. Did I? Well, if you did sculpt this, good job. Good job, good job, good job. Really don't have a lot to say about this that we haven't gone over. Probably a little bit right here, smooth this out. Again, this probably doesn't need to poke out so much. I bring that back. And a little bit stronger angle of the mandible. Right here with a little tack right there for the angle of the jaw. This needs to be coming back a bit more, and we can just indicate that with the master right here. And right there, and then we can indicate this forehead right here, and then just smooth it out so it doesn't look so gorilla-like. Okay. Next, you need to score this infraorbital furrow right here. Okay. You need to get that high score. Okay. Okay, that's good. That's good. Ready, and yeah, roughly not too bad. In terms of you just need to keep going and just make sure you have this frontal plane right here I know there's fat and everything going on, but we still need to maintain that so it doesn't get away from us. And then reinforce that infraorbital furrow. Yeah, I would say maybe the bottom of the face could use a little bit of a lengthening, just so we have enough space in there to really get this sold. And I'm just gonna get rid of these lips for now. And then we can take our move brush and just finesse that a bit more. Okay, your upper eyelid needs to come over your top one, which I think you have indicated. But really sell me that fact that the bottom eyelid is coming from within there. Okay. Right there. There we go, there we go, there we go. And that's what I would do. Okay, so what we have and what you gave me. Okay. It's a little bit longer on the jaw. Don't have this little wobble right here. Make sure this infraorbital furrow, because right now you're have a misshapen eye socket, so you just need to indicate that right there. Okay, just bring that up a bit. But tarsal plates and all that stuff is looking good, looking good, looking good. Very impressed. All right, Haley. Let's see. Okay, you're sculpting backwards. Okay, so I'm gonna press W. Gonna turn off symmetry, hold Alt, click that little tag, reset my rotation, turn on the hamburger menu and rotate it forward, turn off the hamburger menu, hold Alt, reset that, and then press Q, press X, and now we're back. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, pretty decent structure, nothing too out of whack, it's just a lack of confidence on where to go next. So we are going to fix that. Okay, so we need to fix this skull a bit more, it's a little bit too long. We need to make sure this ear is roughly cutting the head in half from the profile. Okay, the bottom of, if we're looking up at the jaw, this needs to be more of like a horseshoe. Okay, and need to have a little bit more angle. Gotta have that in front of the ear. And really what we need to do is we need to level this off. We need that front plane. We can add a little bit more dynamic flow here for the eyebrow. And we need to let's mark in our zygomatic. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. So we know from here to here that we can pretty much put a straight line. Make sure you get that forlorn look for the skull, and then have it come forward. And then just go ahead and knock in the infraorbital furrow. Make sure this goes in to the tarsal plates, and make sure this infraorbital furrow does as well. Leaving you enough room here for the nose, which we'll get into. And there we go, smooth that out. Add a bit more muscle right there. Knock in the glabella, smooth that out so we have a nice flat triangular plane. And we'll get into the noses for show. Okay. So now if the bottom of the zygomatic is going to be right here, then we know we need to bring this nose down. All right, because the bottom of the nose should meet there. Ready? Okay, and there we go. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to fill in this master right here. Most of the mask is going to be right here at the insertion. And we need to dig in here and build it up a bit. So we got this nice chin going, and then the barrel of the mouth. Okay. And we need to probably move these eyes forward. Let's take a look at these eyes. Too big? Probably right around there is where we want to put it. And we need to move forward. Right around there. Okay. So now we're going to go back here, turn off transparency. We're going to move this up. And make sure the canthal tilt is at 17% right there, 17 degrees, excuse me. And then we've got enough room here for the forehead and the transition into the temple. Okay, and boom, 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 boom. Here we go. And knock that infraorbital back in. Okay, and this is a little bit too pronounced for me, this forehead right there. It's just a little bit too much. Okay. And we just need to make sure that infraorbital furrow goes up in there. Okay. So that's what I would do. All right, what we have and what we came in with. Okay. So make sure you get that skeletal structure. Make sure you get that infraorbital furrow. Make sure to fix the overall shape of your skull. And you have your forehead, which is in between each temporal arc. Right? Just okay. That's what I would do. Cameron Cardenas. Let's see. Alrighty, you are sculpting backwards as well. Okay, so W, turn off symmetry by pressing X, hold Alt, click that little tag, and then reset the rotation here. Press W and rotate it 180 degrees while holding Shift. Hold Alt, reset the rotation, and there we go. Just gonna move these forward. Alrighty. So let's take a look. Okay. Let's take a look at the eye size. A little bit too big. A little bit too big. Need to have it right around there. Okay. Right around there. Alrighty. So I know I sculpted over this already. So let's just go in and refine some things a bit more. Okay. We can dig this in obviously a bit more. Oops, 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 oops. Dig that in. And we need to have this canthus, this one overlapping the inferior margin. Okay. And we can probably, yeah, we can definitely move this forehead forward. Okay, and then the glabella is going to stick out a little bit more than that. And we need to have a forlorn look for our skull, and this needs to come forward for our temple bone. And we got to wrap this around the eye. Okay. Do, 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 do. Okay, and then we have Andre the Giant forehead, so we need to fix that, and then we have enough room for the frontal bone or the forehead. Okay. And maybe not so much on the chin. And smooth that out. And if you want, you can just create a triangle here and then dig it in. Septum. And then you just dig around the nostril. It's an easy way to set up a nose. Not that it's right or anything, but it's just a quick setup. Ready? That goes into there, feeds into there. That goes around, comes forward. And we got a little wiggle, little wobble right here, so we need to respect the structure of the jaw and make sure, unless he's really aged or overweight, that this jawline will not really change that much. Okay. And next thing is we need to move that forward. This is splitting the head. And oops. And we can bring that forward. And I think we need, we need a bit more flatness right there. Alrighty. There we go. And a little bit softer there. Okay. That's what we'll do. So what we have and what you came in with. Okay. Just a little bit more refined. Okay. A little bit more here. And around the chin. Okay. And get rid of this wobble right there. Get rid of that. Okay. Alyssa. Let's see. Alyssa. You are sculpting upside down. Okay, man. You are sculpting all types of ways. Let's see. Reset that. All right. So there we go. I think I went over this one. Did I go over this one with you? Okay. Let's see. Turn on my symmetry. That's fine. That we just need a little bit more indication here. Infraorbital furrow. Right there, leaving enough room for the glabella. And just fix that. Redynamesh. The hell? Do you have a mesh inside the mesh or something? don't know why it's doing that. That's weird. Why would it be doing that? I guess he had a bunch of holes in here for some reason. There was a mesh on top of this mesh or something. I don't know. But it was weird. Okay, so let's take a look. So I'm gonna get my damn standard out, BDS, and I'm gonna knock in this eyelid right there, wrapping it around the eye, making sure the medial canthal tendon is being respected, having that come back out, and then right there. Okay. What's going on, Mateus? Thank you for watching the stream. And so we got to dig that in on each side of the canthal tendons. And we need to make sure this is equal distance around the eye. And that these canthal tendons meet up and feed into the infraorbital furrow. Right there. So then from there we can kind of approximate our orbital socket. And we are good. Okay, so we got that locked in. We can bring this down and right there, just sketching it in just for my own edification. But yeah, that's all I would do with this one because I think I went over it right before we left, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, just continue going. You're on your way. Right, maybe a little bit more forward, right here on the temple. Alrighty. And then if you want to get this nose, just get the damn standard and draw this little crescent circle around the nose. Okay. And then dig it in here. And that'll be a good start. Alrighty. So that's what I would do with yours. Okay, not much to change. Who is this? This is Alyssa. Caitlin. Let's see. All right, you are also sculpting upside down. All right, so turning off symmetry, holding X, clicking this little tag, resetting it, and you should be, oh, come on, you son of a bitch. And turn the hamburger menu on. Should be like that, is what it should look like. Turn it back off, press Q, press X, and now I'm back at symmetry. And let's take a look. We can also dynamesh this ear and head together. We don't need to have it separate. Dynamesh it again. There we go. Okay. So what I would say is it looks like this part of the skull is looking up and this part of the skull is looking forward. So what I would do is first fix this brow line so that the glabella is leading everything else. And you can bring it down as well. And regardless of who we're sculpting, the canthal tilt that you have here is incorrect. Right? So we need to have it, if it's Natalie Portman and or Chris Hemsworth, it's going to be up. And yep, eyeball size is good. And let's start marking some things in. So right here, anything your eyes are still a bit placed too high, should be right around there. Okay, and then fix his forehead a bit. Oops. Knock that back. And then just reinforce this forlorn look in the skull. Knock in our orbital socket. And we're good for that. We can probably thin up this chin. It should be roughly same width as your nasal, um, as your nose. Right, so if this is going to be the bottom of the zygomatic, we need to bring that nose down a bit. Okay, so whoops, get my move brush and bloop, pop it down. I'm going to dig around the nose with Damn Standard. And we're going to move these eyes down as well. Roughly right there. And then this tilt right here needs to be fixed. And we need to make sure that this is equal distance around the eye. Okay. And you can see the very flat nature of her forehead. It's not really happening like that. Okay, the glabella is going to lead, it's going to go in, and then it's going to flare back out, but it should not meet the glabella. Okay. And smooth, smooth, smooth. Then the widest part of the zygomatic is going to be where the temple feeds in. And then it's going to make this corner for the malar eminence. And now we need to, you see how we don't have forehead? We just got brows. So, whoops. So we need to get our form soft brush and really separate that. So we have the forehead and then the temporal line. And then we can dig that in because it's a little bit too pronounced. And a little bit of space here. And we know the superior margin feeds into the canthal tendons on each side of the eye. And also infraorbital furrow comes from the canthal tendon as well. And that's what I would do for yours. Okay, well, let me fix this a little bit more. It looks a little sketchy. And knock that in a bit more. And we can get that going. Probably still get a little bit more here. And your angle of the jaw is needs some finessing too. Okay. And roughly we should have a horseshoe right here. Okay. And probably have too much space between the temple and the eye, so I'm gonna move that in, smooth it out. Okay, so roughly that's what I would do for yours. And right there. Okay. And dig in on each side of the canthal tendons. Okay. Alrighty. So let's see if I did anything better or if I did it worse. Okay, so a little bit better, a little bit better. Okay. A little bit more finessing, especially around the eyes. You need to really knock those in. Okay. So Carlos, let's see. All right, at least you're sculpting in the right way. Alrighty, so let's talk about your skull structure. Okay, so the widest part is the third, and right now it's right here in the front. Okay, so we need to start paying attention to these. All right, so the widest part, I'm going to smooth all this out. And move that in and move this in. Okay. We can get rid of these lips. They're too square. That's a problem with them. Okay. And smooth all that out. All right, because we're pretty much gonna have to rebuild this. Okay, so let's take a look at, yep, eye size is fine. Alrighty, so what we need to do is we need to pretty much start from the beginning. Okay, we need to set the skull. It's a bit too long. Okay, jaw length is fine, but we need to have less wobbling going on here. Okay, and we can really set these eyes in. Make sure that the temple bone doesn't come too far back and that the zygomatic isn't poking too far forward. Okay, roughly approximating it like that. And we all know that the nasal aperture doesn't do this. Okay, comes out right there. So let's mark things in. Let me get this going a bit more easier. Okay. So if this is going to be the ear hole, then we know right above it is where the superior margin of the zygomatic is, and then we can knock that in. All right, so basically halfway up the eye, and then make that little turn. Ready? And then the inferior margin goes down right here, and we know straight across from there is roughly going to be the nose. All right, the bottom of the nose. Next, what we can do is we can start really marking in these eyes, just approximating them, and let's do that for now. Okay, so I'm going to get my form soft brush and kind of dig in here for a little bit so I can really get the focus on the orbital socket. And what I'm going to do is make sure I have a forlorn look for this skull and nothing looking like super happy skull. Okay. Okay, and we need to have like a frontal plane to this zygomatic. Right there, and bring these out. Okay. Smooth that out a bit more. So the chin's a bit too wide. It needs to be roughly the same width as the nostrils. Okay. And then we're going to have a little lift right here to really sell the masculinity of the jaw or the chin. Need to dig in on top of it and then build it out a bit more so we can have that little highlight right here for the chin. And then barrel the mouth there. Then we need to connect the master to the malar eminence. So from there to there, fill, 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 smooth. And fill all that in there. Okay. And we can accentuate that superior margin of the eye. And here we go, 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 here we go. Temple line. Okay. A little bit more. somewhere around there. Okay, and there we go. So maybe, oops, a little bit more, a little bit more. Pull that forehead back a bit, and really sell it as well. Okay. And we'll get this inferior margin of the eye. There we go. Okay, so roughly that's how I would set it up. Okay, so what we have and what you gave me. Okay. So I would appreciate it if you would watch this video and get it to this point. Okay. Alrighty. Here we go. Who's next? Who's next? Who's next? Who's next? Jesse Tran. Jesse Tran. Let's see. Okay, female Thor. You are sculpting backwards as well. Okay. So I'm gonna press X to get out of symmetry. I'm gonna hold Alt. I'm gonna click that tag right there, reset my orientation, open up my hamburger menu, and rotate it 180 degrees while holding Shift, clicking the hamburger menu, pressing Q, and then X. So now I'm back. Okay, so let's take a look. I'm gonna smooth this out right there. And let's start with our placing. All right, so zygomatic comes up, comes around. You have too much beef here. No, maybe not. Maybe not. Okay. Inferior margin. All right. And then we have the infraorbital furrow right here. And so we know that the malar eminence is roughly going to be about right there, because we need this flat plane. And the widest part of the zygomatic is where the temporalis is feeding into it. And we can really sculpt over this eye. And this is going to be Natalie Portman, so we don't want too much going on. We want things to be kind of subtle. Okay, but we still need to sell this orbit of the eye. Okay. Nose, we'll get into it. Okay, connect this masseter here. Smooth that out. Okay, and let's look at what we can do to really sell this feminine skull. Okay, first off, the chin is coming out a bit too much, and the chin is a little bit too pronounced. The jawline is a little bit too long and too angular. This needs to come down to a point of some sort, not a direct point, but a nice subtle curve, and a thinner chin as well. The skull is pretty much parallel, which we don't want. We want the widest part to be right behind the ear, and the ear should be cutting the head in half. And then we are going to move this in, and make sure that the zygomatic, where the temporal muscle is feeding into, is the widest part, and then comes around for the malar eminence. And then we can reinforce that temple bone, soften it out, okay? Because we don't want the zygomatic to be too prominent for a female, okay? Because then it'll start selling it as a male. Okay, and still have a forehead, so we still need to lock that in. It still looks kind of masculine. Let me see what I can do. about that. Probably bring this in a bit more. Sure that's not so prominent. Make that a little bit more subtle. And it's probably this nose. Okay. And just knock that in a little bit less on the glabella. Oops. Jesus Christ. Brushes. Alrighty. The head's too long as well. And the angle is a bit too much. So we need to have a little bit more vertical. Okay, and move that out a bit more. Okay. Alrighty, smooth this out. Make sure we still have that temporal, that forehead going in this angle. Okay. Smooth it out, fill this in, smooth it out. Okay. Let's see, and we could probably raise that jawline even more. There we go. Okay, so probably the problem now is probably just too wide. And this angle right here is pretty masculine. Okay. Somewhere around there. And then we want to make sure that this zygomatic, the angle's going back towards the masseter. Okay. Alrighty, and then the bottom earlobe is usually going to lead the head. So we need to have that there in the top up here. But we'll get into ears soon enough. And we'll make sure that you understand those as well. Okay. But all those things are contributing to like the masculine nature of that skull. This is still kind of masculine. I would probably smooth that out even more. Right there. And neutral over here on her face, I remember pointing out in class. So, and then, God dang it. Alrighty, so something like that, right? So what we have and what you gave me. So you can see smaller head, less deep angle, less deep mandible right here, and really knocked in the skull-like structure and smooth it out so it doesn't look so masculine. Okay. Alrighty, so let's see who's next. Sarah G. Sarah G. Alrighty. All right, you're sculpting backwards as well. God, just love doing this for each one of y'all. It's just so fun. Jesus. Okay, so looking pretty decent. Skeletal structures there, just a few adjustments. Okay. First off, it looks like a monkey because the it's coming out too much. Oops, why is it? So you need to bring it down bring it not that deep of an angle and bring it in a bit because it's looking like a chimp or monkey. Right? Widest part of the skull is not the back third. Right? That's it. I'm counting off from now on. Don't have the back third set up, then you fail from now on. That goes for everybody in class. Because that is the one thing that you should be keeping, that you should not forget. I mean, it's back third, back third, back third, back third. Okay, and then the angle of the jaw is like his mouth is open. All right, so we need to level that off. And smooth that out for now because we haven't got to noses. Okay. You got a wobble in your zygomatic here. And there we go. Oops. Ready. Got that there. We can add a little bit more temple bone here, a little bit more space for that to be going on. Make sure we knock in our glabella right here. It's a little trapezoidal shape. Make sure the infraorbital furrow is feeding into the tarsal plates on each side of our eye, or on the medial side of our eye. And smooth that out, smooth that out. And we need the malar eminence right here, where the zygomatic turns to the front. And just reinforce that line of the superior margin. And let's fix this jawline. Okay. Is this okay? Next, probably add a bit more meat to this chin. Smooth it out, barrel of the mouth, and good. Okay. And let's check these things again. Okay. I'm gonna get my damn standard brush out, and I'm gonna start refining this orbital socket right here. Alrighty. Knock that back. Okay. And just ensuring that we have this frontal plane right there, and then moving this master into here. Okay. And not worried about the nose right now. Already. And there we go. Roughly something like that. So what we have and what you gave me. Okay. So your brow was all right. It was just a little wobbly. Your zygomatic's real wobbly. Your ears were too high and too far back. The angle of the jaw is really nice. I like it. But you just need to put in the master and make sure that most of the mass is here on the angle of the jaw. And yeah, just make sure to really hit in that orbital socket a whole lot more. Okay. So Xavier, let's see. I'm getting tired, guys. I'm getting tired. You know what? I'm not even turning these around anymore. Just fuck it. Okay, just fuck it. Turning around every single one of these. Okay, so I'm not sure what's going on here. Kind of confused on this one. Um, for some reason, one side was off. Okay, so I'm not sure why this is happening. Why, so we have no indication of the skull besides this line right here. So you really need to get with me and make sure that we get this fixed. Okay? This is not good. Alrighty, so let's get this cranium done. Okay? It's a little bit too long. We gotta get Dynamish together. Your ears aren't even touching. Okay. Your eyes are off center. They're way too close as well. Okay, so let's see. All right, the bottom of your ear should be leading your head, not the top of your ear. Let's just start marking things in. Okay, so that's not, the temple doesn't go that way. It goes straight across, up, and then goes around. Okay, boom, 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 boom. And then inferior margin, straight across. Now we know this is where the nasal aperture is. Okay. So from the superior margin of the zygomatic, we can find the bottom of the orbit. All right, so roughly that's going to be there. We can take our form soft brush and take that around. We can emphasize this temple right here, and we pretty much got a lot of the problems that you're having solved. Okay, we can knock in right here with for the glabella. And again, really selling that forlorn look for the skull. Bring this down, and we need a little bit, this jaw can't be paper thin. Okay, so we need to fill in all this stuff down here. Redynamesh it, and get this floor off. Okay, get that there. And then for masculine, a little bit longer. Get that a little bit wider. And we can indicate the chin a bit more. Get that going. Okay. So now we can start getting this going. See, these eyes are a bit too large, right around there. Get this, feed it over, and widest part of the zygomatic is going to be where the temporalis is feeding into it, malar eminence, so that we can get the front of the face or the front of the chin. Master feeds in right here. Most of the bulk is going to be at the angle of the jaw. Smooth and transition that in. Then we can take our move brush and just finesse everything. We need to have a horseshoe shape, so we shouldn't have a lot of wobbling going on here. And there we go. Next thing we probably need to do is marking this orbit of the eye more. And that going, so you can see now we've got all that knocked in. And we can start putting in a little bit more structure. And we can really knock in that forehead and build it back up for the frontal bone. Reinforce this temporal line. And you can see I'm like marking things in, but I'm also refining it as I go. Right? I'm not set to every single mark I've just put in. I just want to put it there and then move on. Okay. And right there. And scratch that across so we can get the mouth. And again, we need to have a little dip there so we can really sell the masculinity of the jaw. And just a little bit sharper of a turn. And here we can really knock in that infraorbital furrow. There we go. All right, so really need you to pay attention in class. If you're not grasping things and I don't hear anything from you, I don't hear any questions from you in class, you don't pull me over or any of that stuff to take a look at this. So it's really on you. Like I can only come over and help you so much, and you just need to, as a professional artist, have the curiosity and demand to want to know more. So I can't give that to you. You need to have that. All right, but you need to be doing a whole lot better or asking a whole lot more questions if you want to keep your grade up. Ready? So what we have and what you gave me. Okay. Let's see who's next. Let's see who's next. Josh. Last one, Josh. You're the last one. And guess what you titled your fucking file? You want to see what you titled yours? Same as Mr. Fraser. You just Thor. It needs to be Thor. Thor 01. And then your name. All right? Simple, simple, simple. Alrighty. So you are sculpting correctly. You are sculpting in the right angle. Okay? So this neck and this head can just be put together. So that's what I'm going to do. Bring that up. Get that. Merge it down. It's right here in your subtool palette. Merge down. Okay. Dynamesh it, and we're good. Okay, so let's take a look. Because I know you're trying to sculpt in the skull, which is fine. But it's coming too much of a point. You need to have a little bit of a flat area here. Okay. And also, we need to bring in the back so that is the widest part, and this is maybe a little bit too much. Okay. So we can get all that. Let's bring the neck down a bit so it doesn't look so weird. Okay. And we can shrink up the skull. It's a bit too long. And that. And we can have the Adam's apple roughly right there. And then we can start bringing this in so it doesn't look so cartoony. And we have the mastoid process right here, where all this neck muscle is, or where this sternocleidomastoid is feeding into. We'll go over it, but just make sure, don't get in the habit of just having nothing behind the ear. Ready? And yeah, so your orbit is just way too far back. Okay. So you need to move that forward. Need to move this back. And then you just need to level everything else off. Okay. And then get that glabella back, get that forehead, and then get that forlorn look. Okay. And if this is the bottom of the zygomatic, then your nose is off. And so we need to bring that down. Okay. This infraorbital furrow actually goes back here, and we need a little bit more of the glabella. And we don't need this so far back. Let me see, let me build this up. Yeah, you don't need it that far back. Dynamesh. Ah! God damn it. Let's see. Let's see if it's there. Come on, come on. Yes, yes, yes. We're just gonna load the tools straight up. Yeah, we're gonna go from the beginning. Alrighty. So, let's do this again. Of course, on the very last one, it would crash. Not on the first one, not on the second one. On the very last one, it's gonna crash. Of course. All right, so let's just fix proportions first. We need a stronger angle. We need to make sure the back third is the tallest and the widest. We got to make sure this is brought forward. That's kind of like that. Alrighty. Ready. And again, we need to move the inferior orbital furrow back. Need to move the temple forward. And we need to move that. Need to have indication of the glabella right here, so a little trapezoidal shape. Bring that over. We don't need this going that far back. Just smooth all that out, actually. Right, glabella, furrow. Make sure this is in front so we can get the right thickness. This. We need to make sure that the back of this is not too wide. The widest part is going to be right here, where the temporalis is feeding into the zygomatic. Let's see, bring that down, forward a little bit. Alrighty, so get rid of this mouth. And we need to fix this angle of the jaw. And we need to, again, have those neck muscles in here that we will go over. So I'm just going to sculpt it in real quick. Okay. The next thing, make sure it's really, really going to sell that zygomatic. Okay, make sure that's in front of the eye. Right. And attach to this masseter. Make sure we haven't lost angle of the jaw. Looks like old man. So we got to do that. Bridge, dig in, get the chin, mouth cavity, bottom of the zygomatic should reach the bottom of the nose. So we need to bring this down. Bring that down, straight across, forlorn look. Dig in right over here. Down, cross, forward, in. Okay. And dig that in. And we just need to make sure that we have this infraorbital furrow right here that leads into the bottom of the orbit. So we can really maintain a nice skull-like structure. And glabella. And fix that a bit. All right, so I know you've been looking at the skull for a long time, and that's good, but don't just get locked into that, right? Definitely just have fun and sculpt. Right? Make those mistakes. You know, not every stroke, every measurement needs to be exact. We can fix that over time, but we definitely need to not get stuck and just keep moving forward, okay? And just fill in all this stuff. Because we need to get quick. We can't spend 3 days getting the proportions of the face before we get to work, because then we're never going to get hired, or we're going to be way too expensive to where people can't afford us. So we need to knock this in within like 5-10 minutes so we can move on. Okay. So there we go. What we have and what you gave me. Okay. Alrighty, well that concludes it, peeps. That was about 3 hours of critiquing. I hope y'all watched it. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to watch it again or watch it later or catch up, make sure to check me out on my YouTube under Shotgun Scream. Make sure to follow and subscribe to this channel and my YouTube channel. Check me out on Instagram under SpicerCG. And as always, please let me know what you thought. Put your comments down below of what you would like to see in the future. And thank you again for watching.